All right, guys, Thursday night, man. So great seeing everybody, man. What a joy it is to be with you guys tonight, man. Really look forward to it all week. We're going to be in the book of Matthew tonight, man. So if you got your Bible, Matthew 12:29. If not, I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and I'm going to bring that up. Hoping everybody can see that. Matthew 12:29. And it says, or how can one enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods unless he first binds the strong man, and then he will plunder his house. All right, guys, tonight we're going to be talking about, basically we are the target. Men are targeted. And I say that with every fiber in my being that it is a fact. And as you see there, in the verse, it says, how can a strong man, how can a man enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods if he doesn't bind the strong man first? And I mean, in this particular verse, Jesus is talking about a demon possession and whatnot. But I mean, the way I'd like to look at it tonight is basically, we as men, we are the strong man in our homes. We are the strong man. And the enemy is trying to bind us one way or another. I mean, that is, we are on the enemy's radar. We are his target, plain and simple. If you destroy a man, you destroy his home. There's no two ways about it. Now, if I was to tell you, can I break into your house? Can I just walk into your house and destroy destroy your children and cause havoc on your marriage and just, get your kids to be addicted to all kinds of things? And, have them cause anxiety and depression and just a slew of things. You would tell me absolutely not. I wouldn't make it past your front door. Being, from South Florida, chances are I wouldn't make it past, somebody's lawn. So as men, we protect our homes. We put gates, we put alarm systems, we have, firearms in our homes, for its personal defense. We shore up the defenses all day long. We tend to say, hey, you know what? You got to get through me if you want to get to my family. And we take pride in that. And we absolutely, live to that motto each and every day, especially most of us who are in law enforcement. We're out there serving and protecting and protecting the, somebody who can't defend for themselves. So we are that strong man, not only in our homes, but for most of us in our career fields also. But the Bible says there, it says, he's going to bind the strong man. So, nobody's going to come into my house and just bind me and tie me up and just do what they want. And the same way, they're not going to do it in your home. But for some reason, we neglect the spiritual aspect of that verse. We can look at it as a physical sense, as another person coming into our homes and binding us up, tying us up. And then this other man's going to come in and just take whatever he wants and just, steal from us and just pretty much terrorize us. And we look at it from a physical standpoint. And that's the thing that we are, as men, I believe we are being one-dimensional in this battle. When this is a two-dimensional war, this is a spiritual attack. When he's talking about binding the strong man, he's talking about, in a spiritual sense. Nobody's going to come in and bind you up and cause that havoc that I just talked about earlier to your family. You're not going to allow it. But spiritually, you're allowing it to happen. It's causing it to happen. Why? Because we're being taken out single-handedly. We get caught up in our own world, and the enemy is destroying us he's taking us out one by one, piece by piece, and he's literally tearing us apart. And what is left is just the wreckage of our homes in the aftermath. Because you see, we get up in the morning and like, well, I got to go to work, and we focus our energy on our jobs and our careers and the things that we need to do, and we take care of that, and we address those issues as men, and we work hard, and we provide for our families, and we give everything we've got towards that goal. But at the same time, are we doing the same? Are we giving the same effort in a spiritual sense? Are we fighting the spiritual battle as we are the physical one? Because you see, again, if I walked into your house and I said, hey, you know what? I want to get your kids addicted to pornography, to alcohol, to drugs, all kinds of things. You would fight me tooth and nail. You would literally beat me to shreds. If I said I'm going to walk into your house and I'm going to cause for you to have a divorce, or I'm going to have, cause for you to have anxiety, or I'm going to cause you to have depression, or I'm going to cause you to, just to not even, look right, or I'm going to just wreak havoc on your marriage, you wouldn't let me. You would fight me. You would physically fight me, and you would not let those things occur. You wouldn't give me a foothold. You wouldn't let me through that front door. But we're allowing the enemy to do it. How? Because he's taking us out in another sense, in a spiritual sense. You look at homes today and you see the chaos that's inside of it. And I got guys coming up to me and say, man, I don't know what to do anymore. My kids are just running amok. Things are just going crazy. My finances are upside down. My marriage is teetering. I don't have I'm not walking with the Lord. So many things are going on in my life, Joe. I just don't know what to do anymore. And I look at it and I see the strong person, the strong man, and I said, and he's bound. And he's literally bound because the strong man of the house has been bound. And when you're taken out, the rest of your house is destroyed. See, the enemy doesn't want to destroy your kids. He doesn't want to destroy your wife. He's looking to destroy you, gentlemen. You are his number one target. He doesn't care about your children per se. It's not a priority, or your wife per se. Because once he takes you out of the picture, that is a domino effect that's going to happen. They're going to fall. If there's no man, there's no father in the home, the children are not going to survive as far as life is concerned. When you're looking at 92% of all men in prison today come from a fatherless home, that should tell you specifically what happens when there's no dad at home, when there's not a male figure to put order, godly order in the home. So what does the enemy do? He decides to take you out. And how does he do it? Name it. Addictions, pleasures, work, the toys that we have, the things that we enjoy doing that take us away from our spiritual endeavors at home, that take away the focus of what we really need to do, that take away the focus from our spirituality, that take away the focus of how we as Christian men should conduct ourselves in our homes each and every day. And that's what the enemy's doing. He's making us focus on our bills. He's making us focus, on our jobs. He's making us focus on everyday problems. And then they start to mount up, and we start to see less and less of the world around us because we get tunnel vision. All we see is the situation before us, and we can't see the bigger picture. Because at that same time, the enemy is trying to destroy us, he's working in the background, destroying our homes and our families. And so we come back from a 10, 12-hour day, and we just find a hot mess going on at home. And then we don't want to deal with it. So a lot of men retreat to the man caves. I mean, I just love that term, man caves. So I just need an area to retreat from, or, we pick up a hobby, fishing, baseball, basketball, television. We indulge ourselves in hours of, of our cell phones, our iPads, our TVs. We just want to just regress to our own little world so we can forget about what's going on around us, because we just need a mental break. We just want to disconnect from everything's going around us because we don't want to deal with it. But the problem's not going away. But slowly and slowly, the enemy is trying to take you out, and he's successfully doing that. Look at the world today. Don't blame anybody, but blame the men. Simply one in, and I'm not here to bash any one of us, because I'm at the forefront of this disaster. I don't have a perfect home. I don't have perfect children. I don't have a perfect marriage. I struggle like every other man, but I do not deflect the blame. The buck stops with me and starts with me. Every man here leads his home. Whether you're a single man, a married man, divorced, it doesn't matter. That is your home. God has given you the responsibility to ascend and take care of that, of your children, of your home, and the responsibilities that come with it. And what happens is that we focus on one thing and one thing only, our jobs, because that's our source of income. That's what provides for us. That's what puts, roof over our heads, food on the table, and a bed at night. So we solely focus on that, and we focus on the internal things and the material things that go around us: food, clothing, shelter, vacations, cars, you name it. And that becomes our priority. And then the spiritual aspect of it dies out. it simply just fades away. And so the enemy has us so busy on the hamster wheel of our careers and our situations and our problems. And before we know it, we're so wrapped up with depression. We're so wrapped up in anxiety. We don't know what to do. Our problems overwhelm us. And we don't focus at all on the spiritual. And God is saying the spiritual situation needs to be addressed. Because if we address the spiritual, the internal and the physical will take care of itself, because this battle is fought on another level. It is fought on a higher level. And once it trickles down, it's a trickle down effect. You cannot fight here and pretend it's going to change the course in the spiritual realm. It doesn't work that way. Paul said that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against spirits and principalities in high places. So we're not wrestling here on earth. You're not fighting your boss. You're not fighting, your career. You're not fighting your neighbor. You're not fighting the guy on the palmetto. You are fighting spirits and principalities on a higher level. But we're so focused on the earthly that we forget what's going on in the spiritual realm. So what happens is the strong man, the enemy comes in, decides to go into your home, binds the strong man by all these means and methods, and then he destroys your home. And one home is destroyed, and your neighbor's home is destroyed, and down the block it goes, and it's a systematic thing that's going on, and we're seeing it each and every day. With every divorce, that's a home that's crumbling. With every marriage that's teetering, is a home that's crumbling. With every man walking out on his children, is a home that it's crumbling. It's another strong man bound, and I feel that most of us, I feel that most Christian men are bound, are strong men who are bound tonight. We are the epitome of Matthew 12:29, that the enemy has come in and has bound us in such a way, and he has created this chaos around us that we don't know how to get out of it. We're so wound up in our jobs, in our careers, in our everyday problems, that we fail to see and realize that what God is doing and what he needs from us. He needs us to battle on a spiritual level. It's the only way that the strong man is unbound, is on a spiritual level. You will not fight the enemy. You cannot fight a spirit in the material world. It just can't happen. It cannot happen. If you fail to fight through prayer, through reading the word of God, through having that communication with God, having that fellowship with God, trying to absorb, listen to what he's saying to you, to where he wants you to take your family, where he wants you to take your children, take the situation that you have before him, before his throne room. Whatever you're going through tonight, you need to take it to him and address the problems with him. Don't take your problems to the world, because they're not going to solve it. Don't take your problems to a psychologist because he doesn't have the answers. Don't take your financial situations and say, I'm just going to work twice as much as I'm doing, or I'm going to try to, reduce this and reduce that and see if that'll work out. No, take your financial chaotic mess to God and help, and he will fix it for you. But take it to God. Take your situation to God. Take your depression, take your fears, take your anxiety, take the chains that are binding you tonight, and just say, I need to be free. Because there's a man that's in my house, and he's looting it, and he's destroying it, and he's robbing it. Why? And I'm sitting here watching him plunder my house. There's so many men that I know that their children are hooked on drugs, pornography, teenage pregnancy, you name it. How many issues are there today? How many dads are suffering? How many guys do you know at your own job, or people you hang out with, people you go to church with, that their lives are just shattered and they don't know what to do? I mean, the suicide rate today is beyond. It is just beyond what, the norm. Today, in the last 5 years, suicide has quadrupled in the United States. Today, actually, here in Miami Lakes, I just read that a man shot his 12 and 9-year-old child. 1 hour before, posted a picture of him in the car, smiling with them, just smiling, clear as can be. Dad never showed up to take the kids back. They needed to be in school. Mom got worried. Shows up to the house. Both children are dead. 12-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy. And you got to ask yourself, what was running through the mind of this man that 1 hour before he's posting pictures on social media with a big grin from ear to ear with his children? And within 60 minutes, this man is shooting both of his children and then shooting himself. It's heartbreaking. When I read that, I was just distraught. I was just devastated. 12 and 9 years old, and this man took their lives. Why? Because he was bound. Because the enemy came into his house and bound the strong man. And probably this man had, God knows what was going through his mind, that he didn't see a way out. He didn't see a way out of his problems, and this was his only solution. And that solution is being taken by children as young as 7 and 9 years old. You hear countless stories of girls who are addicted to Instagram and Facebook and all kinds of things on social media, and they don't live up to the hype of these girls being all glamorous and whatnot. And what happens? They take their own lives. They take their own lives. And you hear these stories every single day. And those are the ones that you get to hear. Those are the ones that make the news. But how many don't? Why? Because the strong man was bound. He was tied up, and the enemy came in and he did what he wanted with the rest of the family. Gentlemen, the enemy is trying to destroy you and you alone. Because once you are destroyed, once you are taken out of the picture, there's nothing he can't accomplish. There is nothing he cannot destroy once you are out. Once you have nothing to give, when you have nothing left in the tank, spiritually, physically, mentally, then he makes his move and pounces on you and destroys your home. Go back to the beginning. You wouldn't let me come into your house and destroy your home. You wouldn't let me take anything from your home that wasn't mine, that was yours. You wouldn't let me put a finger on your children or on your wife in a cruel and intentional way. You wouldn't let me do that in the physical. So why do we let the enemy do it in the spiritual? Why do we give him free rein to destroy our children and our marriages in a spiritual sense? And yet we're super brave in the physical. In the physical, we'll fight you, we'll wrestle you, we'll do whatever it takes. But in the spiritual, we won't take 5 minutes to pray to God. In the spiritual, we won't take 5 minutes to read the word of God. In the spiritual, we won't take 2 seconds to claim the name of God and ask for help. But we'll die in the physical for our family. We'll die for our homes. But we won't give God 30 seconds to stop the destruction of what's happening. The enemy doesn't want to destroy your physical home. He doesn't want your car. He doesn't want your boat. He doesn't want your bank account. He doesn't want any of that. He wants your soul. That is what's valuable to him. Your soul and that of your wife and that of your children and that of everyone you know. And he's winning. He's winning day by day by day. When you see children on the streets, addicted, you see homelessness, you see destruction, you see every day, you turn on the news and you're like, it can't get any worse than this. And then it does. We've got a lost generation. We've got a lost generation. And we've got men who are just lost themselves. We're so lost. We're so tied up in our own world. You know, if you ask by next weekend, there's not a man that's not going to be talking to you about the Super Bowl game. And in the big game and this and that and where you're going to go and where you're going to see and this and that. And all of a sudden, a football game becomes priority in a man's life. It takes precedence over everything. Even after the game, they'll still be talking about the commercials and the play and this and the playoffs and who got there, how did they get there, and this and that. And they'll argue relentlessly for weeks on end afterwards. And yet our children are dying in the streets. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for a dad. They're looking for strength. Homes are being destroyed. Marriages are being destroyed. And we're just here caught up in the moment, caught up in our own world, bound by work, bound by pleasure, bound by addiction. And we're just sitting there. Imagine sitting in your living room, watching a man plunder your house. I mean, I just want you to grasp that for a moment. I want you to sit in the middle of your living room. You're tied up to a chair with a rope, and there's a strange person running around doing whatever he wants. Now, that will stir every man here at the sound of my voice. That's not happening in your living room tonight, but it's happening in the spiritual living room of your home tonight. You may not be looking at it physically with your eyes, but gentlemen, it's happening. It's happening in my house. It's happening in your house. It's happening in your best friend's house. It's happening in someone's house tonight. And the only way to stop that is for the strong man not to be bound, but to take on the one that's coming in to destroy. Because the Bible says, he can't plunder the house if the strong man, unless the strong man is taken out. Unless he's out of the picture, he can't take anything from that house. You see, the strong man has to be gone. He can't be there anymore. Then he can have his way in your house. We might think that we're protecting our homes. We might think that we're protecting our sons and our daughters and doing the best we can by the best means we can. But I'm hoping that tonight I've given you a different aspect and a different look at life and saying we're not. And then I'm starting with me. We're not doing it. Because if we were, the world wouldn't be the world that we live in today. But this is a world where the strong man has been bound, where masculinity is toxic, where men shouldn't be patriarchal, men should be more feminine, women should take the lead, and all these things in the world is upside down, and we're applauding it. Because just because you don't agree with it, but our silence tells the world we agree with it. Our silence, our lack of effort to go against the tide of the things of this world shows that we're supporting it in some certain way. Now, you can argue with me that all day long, but it's the truth. If we stay silent, then we're supporting it. If we are vocal and we take action, then and only then are we going against it. Gentlemen, it's time to stop being the man sitting in the middle of the room bound while our homes are being ravished and destroyed by an enemy. It is time that we unbind ourselves, stand up, and fight for what's right. Fight for our homes. I don't want to be taken out. Whoever's gonna come through my house is gonna have to deal with me in a physical and a spiritual sense. Whether he's coming from the air or he's coming on the ground, he's gonna have to fight. And that's where we need to be. We need to have that mindset. If it's a spiritual attack, then we attack it in the spiritual sense. If it's a physical attack, then we attack it in the physical sense. But we need to strike a balance. We cannot just be all physical and not spiritual, because that's not the way it is. That is not the way we are going to win. Because if we continue with that mindset, you will be bound. You will be bound in a physical and a spiritual sense eventually. And your home will be plundered. God is saying, stand up and fight. Stand up and fight. Do not be bound. Do not let this man come in and take out the strong man. Don't be bound tonight. If you are bound, then my God, gentlemen, fight to freedom. If you call upon the name of the Lord, he will answer. He will answer. But you got to fight. It's got to be in you. It's got to be in you. And I don't think there's a man here tonight that will sit there in that chair and just watch that go down. Be it physical, be it spiritual, whatever the case. I don't think there's a man here tonight that will allow that to happen. But if it is happening tonight, you can change the course. No matter what situation you are in tonight, no matter what state of mind you are in tonight, no matter how deep you think your depression is, how strong you think your anxiety is, how big you think your problems are, how big you think your financial situation is, how far away from God you feel that you are tonight, how messed up your kids might be tonight, or how crazy your marriage might be teetering tonight. If you call upon the name of the Lord and you unbind yourself tonight, he will fight on your behalf. He will fight with you and for you. Or we can sit here like fools and just watch this go down. And watch our homes go down. Watch our neighborhoods go down. Our cities go down. Our community go down. And our nation go down. And we'll just sit there bound. Or we can stand up and we can fight. And we can say no more. You're not going to get me on the spiritual, and you're not going to get me on the physical, because I'm going to fight on both ends. And I'm going to fight till I got nothing left in the tank, because I'm fighting for something bigger than me. God is giving you so much. God has given us so much. Is it worth fighting for? Absolutely. Do we need to fight? Absolutely. My question is, gentlemen, are you going to fight? Are you going to fight? I'm not talking about the guy that's going to break through your front door. I'm talking about the guy that's going to break through the ceiling, the spiritual ceiling of your life. That's the guy you need to fight. Because you're doing a great job on the physical front. But gentlemen, we need to step it up on the spiritual front. That's where we need to step up our game. And when we do that, I promise you that we will turn this around. And no one and no enemy will bind us ever again. And they'll think twice about coming into your house because of the shellacking they got the last time they attempted it. So, gentlemen, I urge you tonight, get up from that chair, unbind yourself, and fight. Fight with everything you got in you, with every breath that's in you. Fight for your homes, fight for your marriages, for your sons, your daughters, and your brothers, gentlemen. But fight. Guys, that's all I got, man. The floor is yours tonight.